This is the A24 theme song. We don't have any music that plays over the title, but maybe we can make one.
It's more like a tone than
I
a
mean-
sound.
I mean, really, if we wanted to give across the tone that A24 does, it's more of a
Yeah. Wait.
boom
Boom boom. Boom boom. Boom boom. Here. Okay, are you ready? Would you like to hear my impression of the A24 theme song?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Oh, that's it.
What'd you think? Was it good? Was it good?
No, that makes sense.
Okay.
That's perfect. That's
Awesome.
Okay.
I've been working on that. Like I knew we were gonna do this today, and so I worked on it all night.
I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Hey everyone, welcome to Small Town Phil. Oh my gosh!
That's not our name
That's not our name anymore. Hey, welcome to the Tin Pan Podcast.
Yep, that's what it's called. I'm Jared Rasic.
I'm Todd Leiser.
Oh, welcome.
It's just the two of us today.
Yeah.
Our co-host Julie is out of town having fun adventures.
Sam's here too, but he's just chilling.
Again, without Sam, this show would not exist.
Yeah,
Our audio engineer, producer extraordinaire.
Yeah.
But so today's episode, we're gonna talk about A24. And I'm not sure exactly what I'm gonna title this episode. Whether it's just gonna be like the A24 episode or something like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, like this is gonna be an interesting conversation because there's probably some listeners out there who know exactly what we're gonna get into and are excited.
Right.
And there's probably other people who are like, wait, what?
Yeah.
Isn't it like there's probably people who are like, are you talking about like the logo that plays in front of some movies, like the distributor?
Yeah, like nobody really cares about distributors that much.
Yeah,
right?
because also like if you'd asked me, I don't know, 10 years ago, like if I would be a fanboy of a film distribution company,
it's ridiculous.
I would have never thought.
Never.
Yeah.
I think the first time I ever actually really started paying attention to a distributor was like Criterion.
Yeah.
And then Annapurna I got really into because it seemed to me like every one of their movies was kind of amazing. Mm-hmm. But then A24 kind of hit a point where like it became a mark of quality.
Totally.
Even though looking through their filmography, not every single one of their movies is great.
Yeah, like any good company, like they've had their hits and their misses.
Yeah.
You can tell that they have worked hard over the years to try and make things work for lack of a better term. And when we've played movies by A24 in the past, and we're gonna continue to play movies here at Tin Pan. They're an indie distributor of the not just the 21st century, but like particularly of like the last decade, the 2010s.
Right.
Because like before A24 came along, like usually you were familiar with things like I don't know, Focus Features or Sony Picture Classics, which are obviously still around. But like you can kind of think about how indie movies really became a thing in the 90s, and so like in the 2000s, like if you were an indie movie fan, going to art house cinemas, you would have been familiar with some of the distributors that do these sort of things. And then during the period in like the late or just throughout the 2000s, when indie studios started being sort of like getting eaten up by the conglomerates, like Focus Features became a part of Universal maybe, or maybe it was 20th Century Fox.
It was one of them for sure.
Yeah, one of them. Basically, there was suddenly this period where a lot of indie distributors were no longer technically independent. They were just the indie distribution wing of a much bigger studio and a much bigger conglomerate.
Right.
So yes, like it was in this space where companies like A24 came along. And particularly I remember A24 and Annapurna Pictures coming along just around the same time.
Yeah.
And I've even got the dates in front of me. I think so. A24 started in 2012. Annapurna started in 2011. So
wow, they were really close.
They were right next to each other. And Annapurna was famous for its founder Megan Ellison was kind of a famous name in the industry. So Annapurna I feel like was one that like got a lot of more. It was more talked about when it first came along.
Way more,
Whereas like A24 sort of like slowly built up over the years.
The thing that I think is fascinating about it, and I would love to actually do an entire episode where we just compare these two companies, because by all metrics, Annapurna should be the studio that popped off.
Yeah.
Because if you look at, it seems to me like what their business model was in a way was they would find an auteur
Yep.
and
yep.
they would say, we're gonna produce your next movie,
Yeah,
regardless of what that next movie is.
Because again, it was also that time when a lot of established auteurs weren't being able to get the budget that they wanted because studios weren't giving it to them at any time. Like I'm specifically thinking of when Paul Thomas Anderson was making The Master.
Sure.
He couldn't get the budget, and so Annapurna financed The Master.
Right.
Yeah, it seemed like from an audience perspective, it was like, oh yes, all these great auteurs are gonna get the money they need to make their movie.
Yeah, exactly. But like for some reason, and I wonder if it's just like Megan Ellison has shitty luck or what it is, but like it seems to me like all of these auteurs who they made their movies that she made the movies for, all these movies kind of tended to be the least popular of these auteurs' movies.
Filmographies,
it's insane. Like I know I think it's 2 years ago now, maybe 2.5, but The Man Who Killed Don Quixote, I think, almost killed Annapurna, and they had to get an infusion from her dad, I think, to keep it going. Because is he still a studio head or is he an ex-studio head?
I can't remember.
Is it David Ellison? I can't remember. I shouldn't know about studio.
Larry
heads.
Ellison.
Larry Ellison. Okay.
I don't know what was his job or what is his job.
He was a studio head at some point.
Oracle Corporation. I mean, like I remember like he's one of these billionaires. Like that's why Megan Ellison had the money to do what she did.
Exactly.
Back in the family. So Annapurna seemed like one that was going to do this thing, whereas A24 definitely it didn't take as it was taking chances, but it wasn't taking as big of risks as something like Annapurna was doing at that time, and so I think that's why, even though the first couple A24 movies are particularly noteworthy, the risks were small enough that they were still able to slowly build their reputation over time.
So one of my literal favorite, like if you made me list the 20 favorite films of all time, one of them would be the movie Killing Them Softly. I think it's a perfect film. Like James Gandolfini in that movie gives one of the greatest performances in history. Brad Pitt is impossible to take his eyes off of. I always want to call him Scoot McNairy and Australian brilliant
Guy Pearce?
No, his name is, it's coming to me, Ben Mendelsohn. Oh God, and Sam Shepard, Ray Liotta, Richard Jenkins, it's a perfect film. Andrew Dominic directed it, the guy who did Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford and Chopper. It's a perfect film. Has the lowest IMDb score, or no? I think it's the lowest. It's got like a 0 audience score on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Oh boy!
It's considered, and so it's just like they would, on any metric, that movie coming out, you'd think this is going to be a huge hit, and no. Zero Dark 30, bunch of awards, no. It's just over and over again.
At the moment, we're talking about Annapurna movies.
Annapurna. Yeah. But it's like all these movies in a row that should have just made so much money. Her brilliant film didn't make much money. American Hustle made a bunch of money. Kept them going for a while.
Again, it was like because these were like brand name filmmakers who were getting financed by Annapurna. So so let's talk about how. So we've had this conversation on Mike a little bit before about how like the first A24 movie was a glimpse inside the mind of Charles Swan III.
Right.
And how like that was a movie that kind of doesn't exist. Like nobody really talks about the movie.
Yeah, I bet if they could like erase that from their filmography, they would.
And so that movie's 2013. So Jared, what for you? What movie, like looking down the list of A24 movies, did you start to realize that like, oh, I recognize this A24 logo. I've seen it a couple times, and like, I think I'm interested in this movie, maybe like because I've seen this logo, or like you started to realize that like this distributor has a taste that I'm into.
So for me, it was I was working here at Tin Pan, and it was the back to back to back
Oh my
of
gosh.
Enemy, Under the Skin, and Obvious Child. Because Enemy was Denis Villeneuve, who
Yeah, yeah.
and that movie is I think still the biggest flop of his career. But
I think was that his first English language movie?
it might have been. I for some reason I want to say it came after.
No, yeah. Oh, it was the same year as Prisoners.
Oh, it was. It
Yeah.
was. Damn. Okay.
So
Um,
yeah, I think Prisoners might have come out just a little bit beforehand, but
yeah. But I think I ended up watching while we had it. I think I ended up watching Under the Skin maybe 10 or 12 times. And I became obsessed with that movie on a level because it was like every frame of it. It was like there's never been anything like this
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
This is new.
Yep.
And then a few months later, Obvious Child comes out, and you're like, oh, this is a completely formulaic romantic comedy that's flawlessly done.
Yeah.
And so I kind of realized like, oh, there it doesn't matter what kind of movie it is as long as it's quality. Then they're
Yeah.
gonna put their
Yeah.
they're gonna put their money into it.
I think honestly, Obvious Child I think might have been the movie for me too. Where like I remember seeing the trailers for that, seeing the posters, and being like, I recognize that A24 logo,
Right.
and
Right.
and especially because so much of the conversation around Obvious Child was the fact that it was like a very straightforward romantic comedy, and just the fact that
Right.
the heart of what that movie was about was unfamiliar to a lot of audiences. And
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
if you were ready for like, yeah, I want to see the movie about a girl who, has a hookup and then wants to get the abortion but still falls for the guy that she hooked up with.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
if you know that you were into that movie, like, yeah, you're
Yeah,
gonna be into
yeah.
it. But like, yeah, because there was like, it's enough of a it's enough of a lightning rod of a hook that like still causes enough controversy to at least spread word of mouth.
Yeah. Because
Not that the controversy really matters to the movie, but it matters enough to spread the kind of word of mouth that like
yeah, it
you
really
want to
does.
see that A24 movie.
Totally, because I don't know if A24 did it or if it was just the word of mouth on it, but I remember a lot of people when they would talk about Obvious Child, they would call it the abortion comedy.
Totally, yeah.
And it was like, oh, and also the thing that's so amazing about that movie too, that was so I don't know if it was ahead of its time, but like the idea that she fell for the hookup,
Yep.
and but still the movie wasn't about regretting the abortion or anything like that. It was genuinely like, no, this is going to be treated real. Like these are real.
Totally.
It never felt like a message movie. you know?
Yeah, exactly. It put its characters first and the characters' journeys
Exactly.
first. And so yeah, it treated its subject matter like this is something that many humans deal with, and so we're going to deal with it about how we react to it as humans and as characters. So like it was it treated all of its characters with respect, which, hey, what do you know?
Yeah.
That usually makes a good movie.
9 times out of 10 it'll be a good movie.
Totally. Okay.
I don't know why it didn't make Jenny Slate a bigger movie. Like I feel like that should have made her. Don't get me wrong, she's in a lot of movies.
I think it's the role most people associate with her.
Yeah,
I think that's her most in a lot of ways, because I forgot that she was very briefly on Saturday Night Live.
Right, but like it was like no more than 2 seasons,
It was
right?
extremely
Yeah,
brief.
it might have just been 1 season.
Yeah, and I also forget that she did the voice. She had the YouTube series. Was it like Shelton the Shell? What was it called?
Ooh, I don't know.
Oh man, there's a YouTube series that were like that she just did the voice of this like talking shell, and it's just like he's got this voice where he's like, I'm Shelton the Shell.
Oh my god,
and
that sounds
put
amazing.
my shoes on. Yeah, it's
She's like this sad little shell.
yeah,
Okay.
and like it's definitely one of those things where like I didn't realize until much later that was Jenny Slate doing the voice.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I was really rooting for her and Chris Evans. I wanted those crazy kids to make it work. I was sad that it didn't.
I'm afraid I missed that entire.
They were together a couple years. Like
Dang.
they were like in love, and then
Nice.
But I think it ended up they broke up because they were like too busy or something. It was a weird.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Very, very, very mature and professional.
Mature and
Yeah.
professional.
All right, so something I want to do now, Jared. I kind
Okay.
of want to just like go through. So I want to go through all the A24 movies that we released at Tin Pan.
Yeah, absolutely.
So first we'll go through all the movies that we played here when you were here, and then when I started in 2017, just to sort of like do a quick rundown, so people remember like what A24 movies we've specifically released.
Totally. Okay. I don't think we had. I'm 99% sure we didn't have Spring Breakers or Bling Ring.
Mm-hmm.
If I remember right, and I'm pretty sure I do, the first one we had was Under the Skin.
Okay, so this is 2014.
Yeah, April 2014. And then Locke didn't even get a theatrical release here. So then I think we might have even had Under the Skin.
We definitely did, because I have the poster for Under the Skin from our
the initial
storage.
Run of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we might have gotten Under the Skin like a month after its wide release.
Totally.
So I think we might have even had it at the same time as Obvious Child.
Makes sense.
We, and then it was another few months, and then we got Laggies, because it was the new movie by Lynn Shelton.
Lynn Shelton. Oh, that's right.
And we played her movie, I believe. Take This Waltz, or Your Sister's Sister? One or the other was hers. And that was like one of the biggest movies. Yeah, Your Sister's Sister. That we'd ever had, and then we got Laggies, and nobody came to see it.
Yeah.
Then around Christmas time, I will always remember just 2 feet of snow outside and playing A Most Violent Year.
Oh my gosh.
Which is like a very slow moving, very dour. It feels like a 2-hour-long episode of The Wire. Is honestly what that movie feels like.
Right.
And then we had Ex-Machina for if I remember right, nobody came to see it.
Oh, it's so bad. That was such a masterpiece.
Yeah, it's amazing. And then right after that, we got Slow West.
Okay, yeah, I remember Slow West played, because I remember I was visiting at the time, and I was trying to going to try and see Slow West, and I missed it.
When we had that in here, I never got tired of watching it. Like, Fassbender is so good in that movie.
Yeah, I believe it.
And then we got Amy, the Amy Winehouse documentary, which we had for, God, we probably had that movie for 2 months. It just packed houses every time for 2 months.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right after that, we got End of the Tour, which is the one about David Foster Wallace.
Mm-hmm. This is 2015.
Yeah, I don't think anybody came to see that. Dark Places, I spent, because I read the book and I loved it. It's by the woman who wrote Gone Girl.
Yeah. I remember watching the first half of that movie, and then the DVD I was watching skipped.
Yeah. So yeah, if I remember right, we couldn't even get it. Like, something happened to where it didn't even come out theatrically. And then we got Room, which was like, we sold that movie out every show for probably 3 months.
Yeah. Again, I think we were talking about this a little bit off mic, that like Room seems to me to be the movie that was A24's first real award season push.
Right.
Like, that was Brie Larson got Best Actress that year at the Oscars. That was A24's like signaling their arrival of like, we are a major Hollywood player.
Yeah. I think because they won the, if I remember right, they won the Oscar for Best Special Effects for Ex-Machina.
Yeah, that's true. I should absolutely mention that. Not only did they win the Oscars for Best Special Effects at Ex-Machina, but at the 2015 Oscars, Ex-Machina was like nominated for so many things, because like Mad Max Fury Road were like nominated for so many categories, and I think Ex-Machina even like got a nomination for Best Picture that year.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. This is 2015, so this is the same year that Room. So Room and Ex-Machina are definitely like presences.
Okay.
At the Oscars that year.
That gave them clout that they didn't have before that.
Totally.
Sure.
Yeah. After 2015, after that year's Oscars, A24 had arrived.
Oh, I forgot. I skipped over it because it's like the most forgettable movie, but we also played While We're Young, which was 2014.
Or no.
It's Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller.
Naomi Watts, Adam Driver, Noah Baumbach. It's a good movie, but it's very much like a rich, white, affluent couple who want to feel young again movie.
It was one of like the first movies that like, hey, let's try and investigate who millennials are.
Yeah. Boy, white people problems, huh? Should have been like the name of that movie.
I do remember being very intrigued though that Adam Horowitz was in the movie from the Beastie Boys.
Yeah, and he's really good at it.
Yeah,
like
he's
legit has like a gives a performance in it.
That's awesome.
And then I think I don't remember anything past The Room. I know
Just Room.
Yeah, Room.
Two different movies.
Yeah, totally. I almost have a memory of The Lobster here.
Got it.
And I don't know, it might have been one that I just came to see here after I stopped working here.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like I was here still a little bit longer. Because I know Tin Pan got Swiss Army Man, if I remember right, also. But I think that's it. Right around 2016, I think, was the last
Got it.
A24 for me here.
Yeah. So I'll do a quick rundown of like the A24 movies we've played since then.
Yeah.
I know we did The Disaster Artist when that came out, as well as Florida Project and Ladybird. All three of those movies were the same year. Yeah.
Okay.
That was 2017.
That's insane.
2017 was an amazing year for movies.
Yeah. I wonder if Tin Pan, because it would have been before your time. I wonder if Tin Pan played Moonlight. Do you know?
I don't know, but yeah, I think that would have been in between when you and I were here.
Yeah.
That'd be curious one to look into our archives.
Yeah.
But yeah, then like after 2017, then we did 8th Grade in 2018,
Nice.
great A24 release. And then back in 2019 we did Last Black Man in San Francisco, as well as The Farewell and Uncut Gems. Great. Like I mean, the summer of The Last Black Man in San Francisco and The Farewell, like those were just like, I remember like knowing that those movies were coming down the pipe, and just thinking like these are like the perfect A24 summer indie movies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then Uncut Gems was definitely one that I remember like I was putting together my top 10 like films of the year like that year. Like I thought I was pretty much done, and then I watched Uncut Gems. I was like, well, that's obviously a top 10. Oh my god! Like, and that's actually a really good example of like I remember watching the trailer for Uncut Gems. And like the thumping bass rhythm that like kicks in when the A24 logo comes on, I was just like, I was like, okay, there's so many thoughts going through my head. You know, Adam Sandler in a Safdie Brothers movie, but oh my gosh, there's a palpable feeling and energy I'm getting from this trailer, and I can't deny that like it makes me excited.
Yeah.
And so it's A24, great marketing. They know that like how to do stuff.
I mean, that's kind of
they're as a distributor, they know how to market their stuff.
Do you think that is one of the biggest reasons why they're as popular as they are? Because you watch an A24 trailer and you're like, well, I'm obviously gonna go see that movie.
Yeah.
Whereas you watch an Annapurna trailer and you're like, that still looks like an amazing movie, but I would have no idea that that's from Annapurna. Like they don't have a stamp. Whereas even like an A20, even if the movie isn't remotely like the trailer, A24 almost has a house style of their trailer.
I think A24 definitely I think is part of a specific kind of film fandom that came about in the 2010s that I also associate with, say, like Alamo Drafthouse or and there's a couple other things, like a lot of like sort of like like movie blogs that really like popped up in the internet, or what's the film poster, Mondo, like A24, Mondo, Alamo Drafthouse, like it's all sort of in the same film nerd blog universe. I think A24 knew like that was the audience that they wanted to be a part of, or that's the film circle that they wanted to be a part of. Whereas I think Annapurna is still like, we want to appeal to like the like more like larger like auteur driven but like awards friendly kind of stuff. Like we want to be seen as the prestige stuff. Whereas A24 was like, we definitely, A24 recognized that there is an overlap between prestige film fans and just like genre film fans.
Right.
And they were like, we want to be in that space.
Right. And they would take chances on filmmakers that had original visions, as opposed to ones that had a celebrated history already up to that point.
As you and I have said before, A24 basically saved indie cinema. Also because, again, during the 2010s when streaming and Netflix was on the rise, there were so many filmmakers who did have the chance to get their stuff on Netflix and knew that they could get so many eyeballs on their stuff. But A24 was a company that's like, we want to still release theatrically, and we want to, remind people that like you can see really great stuff,
right.
particularly in the theater.
It saved the $10 million movie. Is
Yeah.
really what it did.
Yeah.
You know,
because I will say that for the most part, the mid-budget movie doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
A lot of times, I mean, I do think A24 movies are made much cheaper than a lot of others. Like
totally, they're
again,
like Blumhouse. I mean, that's why they can. It's
yeah.
If I remember right,
I never thought about the comparison. I feel like A24 and Blumhouse share a lot in common. Yeah, like probably similar budgeted movies, but A24 is particularly, not stuck to one genre or not fixed on one genre.
Right. It might be different now, but I remember for at least the first 10 years of their creation, the only real corporate strategy that Blumhouse had was you can make whatever your movie is, whatever your horror movie is.
Yep.
We won't interfere as long as your budget never exceeds $3 million.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, the shittiest horror movie you can possibly think of can still make over $3 million if it gets a theatrical release.
It's one of the cardinal rules of 100 years of cinema is that horror movies make money on small budgets.
Right. Yeah. Just period.
It's part of the 10 Commandments of cinema.
Yeah. I think the best analogy that, like, while we're talking about that is that when Annapurna was building their slate of movies and when they were creating what their like corporate environment was, their kind of theory was, we want to be the next Miramax.
Yes.
Whereas A24 was like, we want to be A24.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really kind of all I can think of there.
Totally. Especially like another detail to sort of like look at A24 is the fact that like you can go to their website and you can get like merch for A24 that is like similar to the kind of stuff that like you might get at the Criterion Store or that you might get from Mondo. Like,
right.
They, Annapurna definitely saw themselves as like the successor to Miramax, like you said. Right. Where A24 was like, there's a missing gap that we can fill of film nerds. And like we're gonna be something new. I was also gonna say that I think one of the first times that I remember seeing the A24 logo in front of a movie, and like it wasn't just the standard A24 logo, and like it was very much integrated into the trailer and the tone and the look of the movie, was for Hereditary.
Oh yeah,
I remember the trailer for Hereditary. Like the way that trailer starts is like the camera like pans down as like a body's being lowered into a grave, and then the A24 logo is in the ground in the dirt, and like I remember seeing that being like, oh my gosh, like A24 knows that like they want you to know that like this is an A24 movie, and we have a style and tone, and this is a house style. Like, come and see the A24 horror movie. And
then when they released Midsummer, their logo had the flowers.
Yeah, because at that point, like they knew that like they knew that if Hereditary could be a success with that much investment in it, they knew that then they could repeat it with Ari Aster's next movie.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I want to look up real fast, but maybe you know if it's off the top of your head. Was Hereditary a Sundance movie? I think it was.
I have no idea.
I'm very sure it was a Sundance movie that then A24 picked up. And I think that would have been 2019.
It was, It was a midnight. It was in the midnight selection of the 2018 Sundance Film Festival.
Got it. Okay. So it got released in the summer of 2018.
Wow. So it played Sundance in January. Yeah. And then was theatrically released by June. That's pretty fast.
That's a pretty fast turnaround. I do think Hereditary sort of falls in the canon of horror hits at Sundance, like The Witch before it, which again, another A24 movie. And really, like the movie that set that precedent, I think, is Blair Witch Project.
Right.
And it's funny that I do think it took some years after Blair Witch for like that to really become a thing that like distributors or could depend on, that like, hey, we're gonna look for a horror movie at Sundance and we're gonna pick it up.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But and again, like if Hereditary hadn't been a hit, critically and commercially, then
they might not have taken weird ass chances like that anymore.
Definitely.
One thing I will say, so about 6, 8, 9 months ago, I started making a list on Letterboxd of every single A24 movie ever made, and I was ranking them from best to worst. And so I started at the beginning, and and I'm not done with it yet. I've been watching them all in a row. But I started with Charles Swan the third, and
Yeah.
it's the very bottom of the list.
The Roman Coppola movie that was.
Yeah,
That could have been.
That could have been. It could have been. I've definitely noticed something with A24 that I guarantee you, not many people have noticed.
Yeah, I'm curious about this.
So around 2017, A24 made a deal with DirecTV, and so every year they have about 3 to 4 of their releases in that year that have the A24 logo.
And the
That's
that's
then
right.
the DirecTV logo.
I do remember seeing that.
Yeah, and all of them are the shittiest of the A24 movies. Like without and I'm not even. There's literal no exaggeration there. If you made a list of the best to worst, the 20 worst would all be the direct TV ones, which blows my mind that A24 is smart enough to be like, we know exactly which ones to give you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's insane.
And I bet they knew that they were like, we know that our brand is good enough that if we put these to DirecTV, it won't hurt our brand, but the positivity of our brand will help enough to that the DirecTV audience
to give it more of a boost. Because as far as I know too, I don't think any of the, maybe one or two, but not many of the ones with the DirecTV logo ended up getting theatrical releases.
Totally.
But I'm in 2018 still working my way through A24. But I mean, listen to some of these names and tell me if you've even heard of this movie, okay? The Ballad of Lefty Brown.
I remember hearing that name, but couldn't tell you what it was about.
So it's Bill Pullman, Jim Caviezel, Kathy Baker, Peter Fonda, Western, really forgettable. Vanishing of Sydney Hall.
Yeah, I think I remember reading that title. Couldn't tell you what it's about.
Yeah, Ellie Fanning, Nathan Lane, Kyle Chandler, super forgettable. Backstabbing for Beginners.
Never heard of that one.
Yeah, that would be Theo James and Ben Kingsley political film.
This is all 2018, 2017?
This is 2017 into 2018. Okay. The first one I remember seeing with the DirecTV logo on it was Equals, which was the very end of 2016.
Yeah, I remember watching that trailer and being like, ugh.
Yeah, Nicholas Hoult, Kristen Stewart.
Yeah.
But yeah, listen to this run. Equals, Into the Forest, Trespass Against Us, which I watched. Michael Fassbender, Brendan Gleeson, should have been amazing.
Yeah, I remember seeing the trailer for that one.
Yeah, not good. It's about carnies. It's about no. Sorry, not carnies. It's about it's a slur now, but it's about gypsies. But actual like the ones that like Brad Pitt was.
Okay, yeah.
That that
Pikes.
it's but they just there's one called The Exception, which was Christopher Plummer and Lily James. But somehow these movies just came out and were nothing.
Yeah.
And somehow all got directly to DirecTV.
I mean,
it's amazing.
It's interesting talking a little bit about modern A24 and how through the pandemic, because I think there was a fear that again, because A24 has been over the past 10 years very adamant about they obviously release theatrical releases.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
There's kind of a fear of are they still gonna be able to do this? Is streaming eventually gonna eventually just take over? And
Right.
Some of the things that happened during the pandemic was A24 did make a deal with Apple TV to release On the Rocks. That was something they did. But then when they released Minari for this most recent Academy Awards or to be an awards contender, they were like, you know what, we're gonna make this a release that you watch through our website.
Yeah.
And so A24 made it a thing where they're still focused on making their movies their brand so that it's not really they're not really doing a lot of like partnering with other entities, which
Right.
I mean is cool that like they still have the confidence in themselves to do that.
100%.
And they still have the capital to do that.
Yeah, it's amazing. Well, and I mean, look at coming up next month we have Zola coming out, which looks like a Todd Luby, the director of BendFilm, described it as a smart version of Spring Breakers, and I guess I can definitely see that.
Yeah. So we're now gonna let everyone know that we are gonna be releasing the upcoming A24 movies here at Tin Pan.
Yeah.
We're really excited to have these movies. And the first one is gonna be Zola coming out in July.
Yep.
Based off of a Twitter thread.
Yeah, based off a Twitter thread.
But no, like honestly, the movie that I would associate this movie with is the Florida Project.
Like,
that's what I think
yeah.
When I see Zola, and man, just watching that trailer, because one thing that's cool is like Zola is based off of a Twitter thread, so obviously it's a movie about the modern digital age, and social media. But I can tell that the movie's shot on film,
right?
Which I think is such a good choice because it obviously means that like much of the movie is going to be on film, and then like whatever, I'm sure there's going to be shots in the movie that are from like an iPhone or something, like when they're like taking like Instagram videos or something like that. And so you're going to see the obvious difference between like when they're online and when they're offline. Like,
right.
You're going to see that.
Right.
Also, I do think that I think film stock captures humidity very well, and I think if you're going to make a movie set in Florida, you shoot on film, and like you can feel the Florida humidity like on camera.
Sweaty. Yeah, that's great. So we will have that here, I believe, on July 13th is when I got that booked for.
It's that Friday. I think that's the 13th.
I'm 99% sure. I could be wrong.
16th, July 16th.
16th. Okay, that's right. Yeah, we'll have that on the 16th, and then right now tentatively scheduled for August 20th, but I'm working on getting it at least 2 weeks earlier. We're going back and forth. Will be The Green Knight.
The Green Knight. So The Green Knight is A24's biggest release they've ever done.
Yeah, I believe it's an $80 million budget.
Yeah.
Huge.
Originally, this movie was going to come out the summer of 2020.
Right.
And when everything started shutting down, A24 obviously tabled it until further, because this was going to be like their widest release they've ever done. It was essentially going to be A24 saying like, we're releasing a major Hollywood movie, and it's going to release it in like every big multiplex. And like I remember initially last year, I had the thought of like, well, I don't think we'll be able to get that at Tin Pan because I think that's just going to play the big multiplexes.
Yeah.
Now the world has changed in the last year, so I'm very excited for this movie. I'm a big Dev Patel fan. I think Dev Patel's got he's obviously making a lot of effort in the last couple of years to get a lot of different kinds of roles.
Right.
I almost have this pet theory that I think Dev Patel might be. I think he maybe wants to play James Bond.
God, he'd be such a good Bond.
I think he'd be a really good Bond.
Yeah. I wonder if they would like go back and do like young Bond, because he'd be the youngest Bond by a decade probably.
Yeah, I think he is a month older than me. So he's 31. Yeah, he's 31.
Okay.
I mean, there's also some chance that it might be a couple of years before Eon decides to make another Bond after Craig's last movie. So maybe he'll be like 35 by the time, if he does want it.
They keep throwing out.
That's my pet theory.
Idris Elba. I keep hearing that name too.
Yeah, I mean they've been talking about Idris for the last 10 years.
Yeah, they've been talking about him a long time. They've been talking about him since like.
I mean, I think at this point,
after The Wire.
Yeah, I think at this point it's going to be someone who like isn't a big movie star, but when it eventually happens, it's going to be like, oh, that's a nice choice.
That's a really good choice.
Green Knight. Again, also directed by David Lowery, who did Ghost Story. Another A24 movie.
Yep. And Old Man and the Gun, which was not an A24. Just an amazing movie.
Yeah, but obviously he has the trust of Robert Redford to do Robert Redford's last film as an actor.
Yeah, ever.
Like, wow, a lot of trust in David Lowery.
Yeah, and then he's doing the upcoming Peter Pan movie.
That's right. Because he did Pete's Dragon as well.
Right. And they actually cast a Native American to play Tiger Lily for the first time in 100 years of Peter Pan.
What a novel idea.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Crazy.
Yeah. I know we've been talking for quite some time.
I mean, I think we're coming right about the usual runtime of our episodes.
Yeah.
What's Sam mouthing to us? Oh yeah,
Ooh,
40 minutes.
Right on there.
Love
so
it.
I want to ask you, what do you have a number one favorite
A24
movie?
Just going off the top of my head, it might be Ex-Machina.
Nice.
But I mean, like there are several that I absolutely do love. I mean, Farewell and Last Black Man in San Francisco.
Right.
So really, I was about to just like name off a bunch, but I was like, oh, I'm probably just gonna name like every
single one
movie. Like Ladybird, I love just because being originally from Vacaville, having that movie set in Sacramento in the early 2000s, I was like, oh, this is basically kind of about the place that I grew up.
Right.
I mean, it's something I'm trying to think of, like maybe was there anything earlier than that like really stuck out to me. I'm a big fan of Green Room.
Yeah.
That's definitely one. I mean, and again, like I'm going through these and I'm thinking these are all great movies, but I mean it's probably Ex-Machina. If I'm being serious. If I thought about it more, I might have another one, but I think quickly going down the list, I think Ex-Machina is probably.
It's a good choice.
Yeah,
it's a really good choice. I think mine. I am obsessed with Green Room. I don't think I've ever had a movie kind of pin me to my chair as hard as that movie did. But I think I don't know if it's my favorite of them, but I think the best A24 movie is First Reformed. I think that is an actual perfect film.
That was one that I unfortunately missed when it came out. That's 2 years ago.
Yeah, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something about that movie just hit me right in the gut, and I've never ever shaken it off. But of their newest movies, the one I'm trying to get as many people to see and talk about as possible is Under the Silver Lake. That movie melted my brain.
That's a movie that has definitely been very under the radar. So a lot of people are going to discover that one in the coming years. It's one that kind of fell through the cracks a little bit.
The best way I could describe that movie is if you combined The Big Lebowski with an old... No, okay, here it is. Combine The Big Lebowski with Chinatown.
Oh.
But make it all about like crazy conspiracy theories, but then also have your main character be a sociopath.
Nice.
And I mean and it's so literally every frame of it you're like, I have no idea where, and it's like it's long. I think it's like 2 hours 40. Like it's a big movie.
Ooh, that's a big one.
Yeah,
that's a big one.
But you're hooked on every single frame of it.
It's like a Los Angeles, like a sprawling Los Angeles movie.
Right? Yeah. But it's like an unemployed late 20s, early 30s, shiftless, lazy nobody sees a girl who moves in next door, and he's like, wow, you're really hot. And she's like, yeah, come over tomorrow and we'll hang out. And he's like, great. Goes over the next day, and she's gone and has disappeared overnight. And so the whole movie is him being like, boy, I don't know what happened to this girl. She disappeared.
Oh boy.
But it's not.
It's not nefarious or.
Oh no, it's a little weird. It's a little weird. But his reasoning for searching for her isn't, oh my god, I hope she's okay. It's, oh my god, she was really hot and I think we were gonna bang. And so like it's it's just a really, you're like, really, this is our main character, huh? We're following this guy. All right.
I am looking forward to discovering that movie at some point, just like kind of like stumbling across it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for me to sit down and watch it.
It is just, it's so amazing. It is so amazing.
So we got Green Knight and Zola coming up.
Yep.
Looking forward to those. There's not much else that's like that. Like I really have a good hold on. Like there's like I'm looking at other A24 upcoming movies over the next year or so, and nothing that like I am familiar with enough to like really talk about in depth.
Well, I'm excited for False Positive because that is going to come out in like a week, and it's direct to Hulu.
Yeah.
But I'm excited because it's Alana Glazer and Justin Theroux, and it's written and directed by the dude that created Wonder Chosen.
Oh my gosh.
But it's like, it's a horror movie.
Yeah.
like a serious horror movie.
I've definitely read about that. Like it's getting buzz for sure. Which is cool.
But other than that, I don't really know.
Again, sometimes like I really don't know if I'm going to be excited for an A24 movie until I see the trailer. Like
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to touch on just real quick as we wrap up this conversation is like how, it does seem like A24, they created themselves a brand,
right?
Over the last 10 years, and now in the last couple of years, we're getting a few more companies that are sharing their sensibilities, and I think Neon is maybe the one that's most obvious. That like,
definitely.
I also, anytime I see the Neon logo, I'm like, I think I want to see the movie, and I just looked it up and I didn't realize that Neon didn't come onto the scene until 2017.
Yeah, that's
and like
crazy.
One of their first like we talked about this a little bit again off mic. Was like The Bad Batch was one of their first movies that like that movie doesn't really exist. Like, it was not a good original. But like that same year, Ingrid Goes West comes out. Which was one of my favorite movies of 2017.
Great.
Along with I, Tonya, which is I, Tonya is a masterpiece. That movie is so good.
Yeah.
And so like. Yeah, I think, and I've read interviews or like read profiles about the guy that runs Neon. I forget his name, but like he's obviously very much like a film fan and like
right,
especially because Neon released Parasite,
right,
and
which gave them enough money to last for another decade, probably.
And so much of anything I ever read about Parasite's success in the U.S. was always tied with like how Neon and Bong Joon-ho worked like together to make Parasite a hit. Like it was very much like a collaboration between Bong Joon-ho and Neon to make Parasite a hit in the U.S.
Which it's amazing. I'm
so happy.
And I guarantee, but it's funny because there's no way. I guarantee you, there's no way that Neon knew that movie would do what it did.
No. I'm sure they had hope, but nothing was for sure.
Yeah. So I think it's funny too because you were talking about how different distributors kind of almost change hands stylistically over the years.
Yeah.
It's funny because the distributor or the person who I work with to book movies from Neon is the same distributor that I worked with 7 or 8 years ago to book movies from Draft House Films. And so I'm like, you went from Draft House to Neon. What a perfect, of course you did.
That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Of course, as a company, you're going to hire people who have the sensibilities that you want.
Yeah.
Oh,
you re-released Wake in Fright. Okay, we're gonna hire you. Yeah.
Just like how we hire film weirdos here at Tin Pan.
We really do. We hire the weirdest people.
I love it. I love it.
It's great. Such weird people.
Yeah. So I think a note to end this on is like I do actually think that indie cinema in theaters is gonna still survive for a couple of years without really like the fear of streaming completely taking over. Honestly, I think two companies like A24. Like I'm still, maybe that might be naive of me to some extent, but I don't know. I have a lot of faith in a company like A24 to keep indie movies in cinema alive.
Yeah, I do too. And it seems it seems to me too that distributors right now, specifically bookers, want theaters to stay open, and so they're helping give good deals to smaller theaters to keep us going. Like the fact that we are showing Zola and The Green Knight is amazing. The fact that we can get movies that big here shows that they are putting in the effort to keep us going.
Gosh, we so appreciate it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, we can't appreciate it more.
Last note I think we'll end on is saying that we hope that folks will come out and see Zola and The Green Knight. We're really excited. I think these are the two movies I've been most excited about. Since
all year probably.
Yeah. I don't think there's any movie I'm more excited for this summer than those two movies.
Yeah. Agreed. I can't wait. Green Knight is like David Lowery. I think is an actual genius. So I'm really excited.
He's going to become one of the most important filmmakers of the modern age.
Yeah, he really will. I think A Ghost Story will eventually catch on, and people.
You did a whole video about it.
I did a whole video on that movie. It's literally a perfect film. Like every frame of that movie is flawless.
Your heart was definitely on screen, Jared.
Yeah, I was like, I love it. Watch this movie.
Someone else watch this.
It only made $40, but it costs I think it costs $1 million to make. And you're like, oh, it looks like $100 million. Like every frame is so beautiful, and it costs $1 million. Yeah.
Good stuff. All right, yeah. So Zola's kind of come out on July 16th.
Yep.
We got it booked, and it's coming down the line.
Yeah.
Real quick, I'll just say that we got a new documentary opening this Friday called Against the Current, and hopefully this episode's going to be up and playing on Friday. So if you're listening to this on Friday the 26th or 25th, you can come see this documentary about a trans athlete who paddled against the current around Iceland and was the first kayaker to ever do so.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely in line with other sports documentaries we've played, like Super Frenchie, which we still have
right now.
There's going to be another screening on Sunday if you want to quick grab that. We still got things going on at Tin Pan. We're gonna have new outdoor movie series coming up soon because our B horror film series is coming to an end, and our Godzilla series is coming to an end.
Yeah.
But we also got a series of LGBTQ movies on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
Yeah, we've got stuff open for that.
Yeah.
So come down to Tin Pan Theater, everyone.
All kinds of stuff.
Please come and keep supporting us.
Yeah.
And
do it. We love you.
We love you so much.
We really do.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Thank you so much.
My name is Todd Leiser.
Jared Rasic.
All right, and this is the Tin Pan Podcast from BendFilm and Tin Pan Theater.
Yeah, signing out.
Peace.
Bye.